.360 video cameras. What do you think about it? Do you think it's dorky? Do you think it looks kind of gimmicky and kind of goofy? I know that I did for the longest time, at least until I got this right here. This is the Insta360 One R camera, and it was just released in the year 2020. I guess just isn't the right word because we're halfway through 2020 right now, but it is one of the very few good things to happen to the year 2020. And so what I want to do today is give you a really informal review, first impression of this camera. I've never owned a 360 camera before, and the reason for that is I always thought it was kind of dorky, and I never thought that you could really make anything cool with it. But then I started watching some videos and reading some reviews and listening to some of my subscribers, and they said, you should get this camera because it is much different than any other previous 360 cameras. And so I started doing some research and I said, you know what, it does look pretty good. So I reached out to Insta360 and they sent me this as well as the 1-inch mod. And I want to talk to you about it today just real quickly. I'm actually going to make 2 videos on this. This one's going to be really informal. I don't have a script or an outline or notes or anything like that. So this is kind of a recipe for disaster. So hopefully I'll do okay. But I'm gonna make a more formal video later on after I have the opportunity to use some of the other features on here. Right now, I've just been playing with the 360 mod, and I'll tell you right now, I've been having so much fun with it. So let's get a really informal review of the Insta360 One R. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Russ here, and if you haven't been here before, I make videos mostly about drones and drone-related technology, but I also do some other stuff like action cameras and today a 360 camera. So I never really thought that 360 camera footage was going to catch on. I always thought that it was really gimmicky and it was just something that was going to be kind of a flash in the pan, and it's kind of fun to see on Instagram once in a while. You know, the guy running around the tiny planet and just looking like a complete dork, because there's a lot of those. But so many people said, try the One R because it's definitely a different system. It's a modular system. And so what that means is that you have the base unit, and then you have the battery, and then you have different cameras that you can attach to it. And I found that to be really interesting because as the technology changes, you can add different cameras to this modular system. Like right now they have this 360 mod, which I have right here, and then they have the 1-inch mod, which I have right here. And I've only used this a few times. And so I'm gonna do, like I said, that future video is gonna have more of the 1-inch footage on it. I'm gonna compare it to the GoPro Hero 8 Black. But anyway, they have the 360, they have this, and then they have the 4K wide angle. And then I see that they're possibly coming out with a 3D mod, which is really fascinating to me. You know, 3D is still, I think, a ways away from happening, but I'm really curious on how they're gonna do that. But anyway, I've been able to capture some really fun clips with this camera so far. Here's just a few. So those were really fun to capture, but the best thing by far that I captured with this camera on day 1 was this. So yes, dad achievement gold level. That is the 3rd child that I taught how to ride their bike, and I'm so proud of him. I'm so happy for him. And the coolest thing is I hooked this up to the front of the bike because he was almost there and I knew that he was about to get it. So I put this there because I wanted to see his reaction when he finally got it. And I wouldn't have been able to see that without this camera because I was behind him. And just seeing the look on his face after I watched this footage, it was so rewarding and it was so fun. I'm like, okay, this is really cool. And then being able to edit the footage to show different angles, to show the whole situation, I think is so valuable. And that's what's cool about 360 cameras and about this system right here, is that you can edit the same clip. You can capture some video footage and you can edit it in so many different ways. Like you can show the same clip from so many different angles. So for instance, if you have 4 different things going on around you, you can capture all of them at the same time. I think that's gonna be the standard. I think being able to just not have to worry about what's in the frame when you're recording and then edit it later and choose what you wanna show and what you wanna focus on, I think is so cool. It just takes away so much of the work. Yeah, you have to do a little bit of work with the editing, but I think being able to just capture it and not worry about it is really cool. Now, speaking of editing, there is a little bit of a learning curve, at least there was for me, because I had never done anything like this before. I have never used a 360 camera, and I was kind of intimidated by it, but luckily the app for the Insta360 is really easy to understand. It's very intuitive, and all you have to do is you can edit the footage while it's still on the camera. So you can use your mobile device, you can use your phone, or you can use your iPad. I use my iPad Pro. It seems to be more stable with that. It doesn't work as well. I have a Google Pixel 3 XL, which is, a little bit older, and there's some stability problems. It would just keep disconnecting. But when I would edit the footage with the Insta360 app on my iPad Pro, no trouble at all. It was perfect. It was fast, strong connection, and the editing was so much better because, the screen is a little bit bigger. But you can edit the footage while it's still on the camera, and then, pick the clips that you want. You can pick the focal point, and then you can download it to your mobile device, and then you can share it right away. And so I think that's really valuable, and it's really efficient, because if I'm out in the field and I'm getting some drone footage and I captured something with my 360 camera and I want to share it right away, I can do that. I can just post it on Instagram right away. And so I think that is just the versatility of it and the efficiency of it is so cool. I really like that it's waterproof. I don't have to worry about it, because we do play in the water a lot. We have a small swimming pool that we play in. We have fun there. We go to the lake, and so I'm able to take it into the water, not have to worry about it getting wet. And so that is very cool. Of course, you're only supposed to go, I think 5 meters is the deepest that you can go. So if you're gonna do, any kind of scuba diving or anything like that, you're gonna have to put a case on it. But just being able to play in the water in general, the majority of the time, you're not going that deep anyway. So I think that's really valuable. There's 3 things that I really am impressed with this camera so far. I mean, it's all impressive, but there's 3 things that I think make this worth looking at for you, especially if you want to get into any kind of vlogging. Now, number 1 is flow state, and that's their stabilization. I'll talk about that in just a second. The audio quality straight out of the camera is good. It's not great, but it is the best from any action camera that I have ever heard. And then third is the tracking, the motion tracking, where you can track a subject. So with the flow state is kind of their answer, Insta360's answer to GoPro's Hyper Smooth, and it's really, really good. I haven't put it side by side on the GoPro. I might do that before I publish this. I'll put it up on the screen here if I did, but it is super smooth. It's almost, I think it's to the level of having a camera gimbal now. And I think like a year ago, I said, almost 2 years ago, I've said that digital stabilization is gonna overtake mechanical stabilization real soon, because the technology is getting so much better. You don't have to crop in as much, and just not having to have a gimbal is gonna be so cool. And I think that flow state is as close as you can get to gimbal-like camera footage without actually using a gimbal. And so that is very cool. And then the audio quality, like I mentioned, is really good out of this camera. Like I said, it's never gonna be as good as having an external microphone. Okay, so here is an audio sample of the Insta360 One R audio sample of the audio. What do you think? I think it sounds pretty good, and I'm gonna compare it to the GoPro Hero 8 Black. So here is the audio coming from the GoPro Hero 8 Black. Now GoPro continues to improve their audio. It definitely is the best that they've ever gotten with the GoPro Hero 8 Black. But honestly, personally, I think the Insta360 One R sounds better. Let me know what you think in the comments. You can get an external adapter for this and hook up an external microphone, which I kind of want to do. I do want to compare it between the the in-camera audio and then having, I want to use the wireless Go and see how that sounds. So I might order that just to see how it sounds, and I'll put that in the second video that I'm going to do, because I think that is valuable to have that. And then finally, the motion tracking, being able to just swipe on the screen what you want to track. Like if you want to do some vlogging, you just swipe on yourself and then it's going to track you. And I think that's another thing that's going to be the standard, is that motion tracking, because you don't ever have to worry about being in the frame. You know that the camera is going to capture you no matter where you go. Especially with a 360 camera, it's going to follow you wherever you go, and that's going to make the editing so much more efficient and so much more quick. Now, as far as vlogging, is this something that I'm going to ditch my Osmo Pocket setup for? I don't know. I really like my Osmo Pocket setup because it has everything that I need, but the minimalist design of this, of not having to carry anything but the camera and a tripod or the selfie stick, is really cool, and not have to worry about if I'm in the frame or not. It's really tempting. So as I play with this more and as I use it more, I'm gonna compare it to using the Osmo Pocket setup that I've been using for almost, let's see, almost a year now. And I don't know, I might have to ditch that Osmo Pocket, we'll see. I am so far not impressed. I got a couple of negatives. The battery life isn't as good as I thought it would be, as it's advertised. I think that the most recording time that I've gotten with this is 50 minutes so far, but that's on and off, on and off. So what I want to do is I actually want to just hit record and see how long it records, and probably the conditions might be affecting the battery life as well, but the battery doesn't last as long as I thought it would. And then the other thing is, every once in a while when I turned it on and I start recording, I hit record and it starts, and then it all of a sudden stops and it says micro SD card too slow. And I have the fastest micro SD card, and it's the one that they recommend, and it's the one that comes with the camera if you order a kit on Amazon. So it is a very high speed micro SD card, so I don't know why that's happening. I'll just turn it back on and start recording it again, and then it works. So I think it's maybe just a little bit of a firmware update that could fix that, but that is kind of irritating, especially if I want to capture something that is just starting to happen. And then it actually has happened a couple times where I wanted to capture something, oh, look at that, and then I'll hit record and then it'll stop, and I'll be like, oh man, now the moment's gone, so I lost it. So, you know, there are just a couple of negatives. I'm sure I'll see some more as I use this. We're actually going on vacation next week, and we're going to be doing some water activities. We're going to be camping, fishing, all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to use this as much as I can because I want to capture as much footage as I can. I'm going to put it on my drone some more. I've only put it on my Mavic 2 Pro once, and that was great. It worked great. It got some great footage. It does affect the GPS, so I have to be really careful when I do that. But I want to try some more things. I actually want to try to mount this whole thing on the Mavic 2 Pro. I don't know if that's going to work or not because it's going to be really top heavy, but I think it'd be really useful if I could get the camera up off the drone a little bit and see what that looks like. So I'm going to try that. I might actually try that tonight. If I do, it'll be at the end of this video. So, but anyway, that's my first impressions. I'm sure this video is getting too long. Where are we at? I don't even know how long it is. So I'm going to quit talking now, but hopefully I gave you something of value. If I did, click on the thumbs up. You can click on the thumbs down too, but it's just so much more fun to click on that thumbs up button. Like I said, watch for my next video on this. I'm going to use it now for a couple more weeks, and then I'll give a more in-depth review of this camera. So far, I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to include the 1-inch mod on there too, and I think that's really valuable, especially for shooting in low light situations or getting really good dynamic range. From what I've seen so far, it looks like it's going to be better than the GoPro Hero 8 Black. So I'll have a link in the description for this camera if you want to learn more about it, or if you're interested in purchasing it. And thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.